We need to start with a fundamental truth. Most of what you think you know about female infidelity is wrong. It's not about finding a richer man. It's not about finding a younger or stronger or better man. In a vast majority of cases, it's not even about the sex. These are the convenient, simple answers, and they allow us to avoid the much more complex and much more painful reality. The real reason is often found in a place we are taught to value above all else: stability. Marriage is built on the promise of stability, of predictability, a routine that provides safety, comfort, and a foundation to build a life. But here lies the great paradox. The very stability that makes a marriage work can become the golden cage that suffocates the passion that started it. Think of it this way: a relationship starts with fire, with uncertainty, with desire. Marriage, by its very design, is the process of taming that fire, turning it from a wildfire into a predictable, controlled flame that heats the home. But what happens when that flame becomes so predictable, so controlled, that it's no longer felt? This is the point of failure. It's not a failure of love. It is a failure of vitality. The husband is a good man. He provides, he is kind, he is reliable. He is a good father. He checks all the boxes. And the woman knows this. She is grateful for it. And this gratitude creates an enormous amount of guilt, because she knows she should be happy, but she doesn't feel alive. She doesn't feel seen. There is a profound difference between being loved and being seen. He loves the wife, the mother, the partner, but he may have stopped seeing the woman, the complex, individual, sexual, and emotional being that exists inside those roles. And when she no longer feels seen by the person who is supposed to see her most clearly, she becomes incredibly vulnerable. She becomes vulnerable not to a better man, but to a different man. She becomes vulnerable to the one thing her stable life cannot offer: the unknown. This is where the emotional void begins. It's a slow fade, a growing distance that isn't measured in arguments, but in silence, in conversations that don't happen. It's the moment she stops sharing her internal world with her partner, and often without realizing it, begins to save it for someone else, or worse, for no one at all. This void is not about dissatisfaction with her life. It is about dissatisfaction with herself. She looks in the mirror and doesn't recognize the person she's become. And the affair, in its destructive, chaotic, and terrible way, becomes a desperate attempt to find that person again, to feel something, anything, other than the crushing weight of predictability. This emotional void is the real starting point. And we must be clear, this void is rarely created by physical abuse or overt cruelty. It's created by something much quieter. It's created by neglect. Not the neglect of her physical needs, but the neglect of her emotional and intellectual world. It's the accumulation of 1,000 tiny moments. It's the moment she tells a story about her day, and he just grunts from behind his phone. It's the new dress she wears, hoping for a spark of the man who once couldn't take his eyes off her, only to receive a polite, "That's nice." It is the slow, agonizing death of connection. This is when emotional infidelity begins, and this often happens long before any physical line is crossed. Emotional infidelity is when she starts to divert that emotional energy, that intimacy, to someone else. It's the coworker she shares an inside joke with. It's the old friend on Facebook she suddenly starts messaging late at night. It's the person she tells her real thoughts to, the thoughts she knows her husband wouldn't understand, or worse, wouldn't even bother to listen to. She is outsourcing her intimacy. Now let's talk about the other man. The biggest mistake we make is trying to figure out what he has that the husband doesn't. Is he richer, more handsome, funnier? The answer almost always is no. In fact, in many cases, the other man is objectively lesser than the husband. He might be less successful, less stable, less responsible, and this baffles the husband. Why him? He has nothing to offer you. He's right. He has nothing to offer her long term. But he is not offering a replacement for the husband. He is offering an escape. This man isn't better. He is just different. And different is the one thing her husband, by definition, can no longer be. This other man provides a fresh breeze, a novelty. But his primary weapon is simple. It is the single most powerful tool of seduction in the world, Attention. He listens. He asks questions. He remembers the name of her boss. He notices her new haircut. He finds her interesting. He is not seeing the wife or the mother. He is seeing the woman. And by doing so, he gives her back a piece of herself she thought was dead. He makes her feel important. He makes her feel desired. He is the mirror reflecting a version of herself she has desperately missed. She is not falling in love with him. She is falling in love with how she feels when she is with him. She is falling in love with feeling alive again. This is why the affair feels so powerful. It's a drug. It's an intense, concentrated dose of validation. She isn't choosing him over her husband. In her mind, the two are not even on the same playing field. The husband is her life. The other man is her secret. The husband represents reality, stability, and the mundane. The other man represents fantasy, escape, and excitement. And for a woman who has been emotionally starving in a perfectly stable, perfectly good life, the fantasy can suddenly feel more necessary than the reality. She knows it's temporary, she knows it's destructive, but the feeling of being seen, just for a moment, outweighs the long-term consequences. Because for that 1 hour with him, she isn't just a cog in the family machine. She is the center of someone's universe. To truly understand this, we have to go deeper than just feeling seen. We have to talk about the lost self. This is perhaps the most tragic and least discussed reason for infidelity in long-term marriages. This isn't about the husband. It isn't about the other man. This is about her. It's about the woman she was before she became the wife and the mother. In her early life, she was an individual. She had her own ambitions, her own passions, her own identity. Then, she entered the partnership. She became a wife. This role required compromise, sacrifice, and the merging of two identities. Then she became a mother. And the role of mother is, by its very nature, all-consuming. It demands the complete suppression of one's own needs in favor of the needs of a child. She does this willingly. She does it, often, with great love. But years go by. The children get older. The daily routine of the household is set in stone, and one day, she looks in the mirror and is struck by a terrifying question. Who am I? She doesn't recognize the person staring back. She sees the wife and the mother, but the individual, the vibrant, sexual, ambitious, and independent person she once was, seems to have vanished. She has successfully played her roles. She has built the perfect life, and in the process, she has lost herself. This is a profound identity crisis. And this is where the affair becomes, in her mind, an act of self-discovery. This is a critical distinction. We see it as an act of betrayal. She, in a deeply distorted way, experiences it as an act of reclamation. She is not trying to find a new husband. She is trying to find herself. The affair is a place where she is not mom. She is not wife. She is just her name. She is just a woman. The affair provides a secret, protected space where the rules of her life do not apply. The responsibilities, the expectations, the crushing weight of her own good life, they all disappear for those 2 hours in a nondescript hotel room. The other man is the catalyst for this. He sees her, not her roles. He desires her, not the stability she provides. The affair feels so alive precisely because it is transgressive. It is a rebellion. It is the one thing she is doing that is only for her. It's not for the kids, not for the husband, not for the family. It is a selfish act, and the sheer selfishness of it is intoxicating. It's a high-stakes, dangerous way to feel. Something. To feel in control. In her marriage, her life is defined by service to others. Her schedule is not her own. Her body is not her own. Her emotions are not her own. In the affair, she makes the rules. She sets the time. She holds the secret. It gives her a feeling of power in a life where she has slowly given all her power away. This is why, very often, these women are excellent at compartmentalizing. They can be in the affair, and then go home, and be the perfect loving mother. Because in their mind, the two are not connected. One is her life. The other is her secret. And this secret, this lost self she has found, feels more real and more vital than the perfect life she is supposed to be happy with. It's a desperate, destructive, and deeply human attempt to answer that one question. Who am I? And for a little while, the affair gives her an answer. A false answer. a temporary answer, but an answer that feels more real than anything she has felt in a decade. Now we must address the most confusing part of this entire phenomenon: infidelity that happens in good or happy marriages. 5.4, 5.2. We are comfortable with the idea that cheating happens in bad marriages. When there is fighting, when there is coldness, when there is abuse, it makes sense. It's logical. One person is unhappy, so they seek happiness elsewhere. But the research and the work of leading therapists like Esther Perel reveals a deeply unsettling truth. Infidelity happens in good marriages all the time. 5.4. Marriages where there is love, respect, and active friendship. Marriages that, from the outside, look perfect. Marriages that are good. So why? The answer lies in our modern definition of marriage. We are living with what Perel calls the romantic ideal. 5.2. Think about what we expect from our one partner today. We want them to be our best friend, our trusted confidant, our intellectual equal, an amazing co-parent, a passionate lover, our financial partner, our emotional anchor, our biggest cheerleader. We expect one single person to provide what an entire village used to provide. We want one person to be everything, and this is an impossible burden. It is a setup for failure. No single human being can be everything to another human being, 24 hours a day, for 50 years. It's not possible. So what happens when this romantic ideal fails? The person is a great partner. He's a wonderful father, a great provider, and her best friend, but he is not an intellectually stimulating companion. Or he is not a passionate or adventurous lover. In 99% of the marriage, things are good, but there is one specific, unmet need. In the past, people accepted this. You couldn't have everything, but today, we are told we deserve to have everything. We are told we deserve to be happy and fulfilled in every aspect of our lives. So the affair becomes an act of outsourcing. 5. She doesn't want to leave her husband. She is not looking to replace him. She is looking to supplement him. She is trying to fill that one specific void that he cannot. The affair is with the artist who discusses philosophy with her, something her very practical, non-intellectual husband can't do. Or it's with the high-energy, adventurous man who makes her feel wild and sexual, a feeling her very stable, calm husband doesn't inspire. She is not replacing the husband, she is finding a lover. And in her mind, this compartmentalization makes perfect sense. I love my husband. He is my life. This is just for me. This is the one piece he can't give me. This explains why so many women who cheat have no intention of leaving their marriage. This is why the husbands are so blindsided. When the affair is discovered, the husband asks, "Were you not happy?" And the woman in tears will often say, "I was happy. I don't know why I did this. I love you." And she means it. She wasn't running from the marriage. She was running towards a missing piece of herself. This doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it less destructive. The betrayal is catastrophic, but it moves the conversation away from "she's a bad person" or "he's a bad husband" and into a much more complex reality. Even good people, in good marriages, can be drawn to infidelity, not because they are searching for a new life, but because they are trying to find the missing pieces of their perfect one. Finally, we must separate two words that we constantly confuse: sex and desire. We assume infidelity is primarily about sex, a physical act, a biological urge. But in this context, it is not. It is about desire. 5.2. And these two things are not the same. Sex is the act, desire is the wanting. In a long-term marriage, sex can often become routine. It becomes familiar, comfortable, and predictable. It's an act of connection, or even just an act of maintenance. The wanting, the longing, the anticipation. That often fades. The affair, by its very nature, is built on desire. The affair is, by definition, incomplete. You cannot have the other person. You cannot have them for Christmas. You cannot have them on Saturday night. You can only have them in stolen moments. And this inaccessibility, is what makes it so powerful. The secrecy, 5.3, the risk, the longing, 5.2. It creates an incredible amount of psychological tension. It's the chase all over again. She is not just having sex, she is being desired. She is wanting. She is experiencing the one thing her stable marriage has, by its very nature, extinguished uncertainty. The affair is a fantasy world. It is protected from the mundane realities of life. It is not real. It is not burdened by bills or sick children or arguments about whose turn it is to take out the trash. It is a pure, concentrated dose of desire. This is why, when an affair is discovered and the other man and the wife try to make it a real relationship, it almost always fails. Because the moment the fantasy is exposed to reality, the moment the desire is replaced by the act of daily life, it dies. Because the affair was never about the person. It was about the feeling. So, when we ask why married women cheat, the truth is this. It is not because they are evil. It is not because their husbands are bad men. It is because they are human. It is because they are living in a golden cage of stability, starving for a feeling they have lost. It is because they are desperate to feel seen in a world that only looks at their roles. And ultimately, it is because they are willing to burn down their entire perfect life. Not for a new life, not for a better man, but for one fleeting, destructive moment of feeling alive again.